I've requested a few people to say a few words. I now request Father Fraser, who accompanied Stan during his last days, to say a few words.
My friends, it's my privilege to say a few words on Stan because it was my privilege, as Father Arun said, to accompany him for this, the last month of his life. About 2 days before he actually went into unconsciousness because of the heart problem, he suddenly, in the middle of our conversation, he says, Father Fraser, do you understand? You have become an important part of my life. And I said, Stan, you have become an important part of my life. And we laughed together because for the month, almost every day I was visiting him and had about half an hour to an hour's conversation. And so really it was a good bond that developed between us. I'd like to speak on Father Stan, and as you see him here, he is dressed as a Catholic priest and holding the chalice, the same chalice that we used for this ceremony. And this is what he valued. He valued his Christian priesthood. And whenever I went to visit him, he was interested in receiving Jesus in Holy Communion. And on days that I forgot to bring communion, the sisters arranged for another priest to come and give him communion. And one day I forgot in the evening, although I told him I would bring him communion. And I went there because I had some other work, etc. And after we had chatted for a while, okay, now you can give me communion. And I said, Stan, I forgot. But I went back, I brought communion for Father Stan, and he was very grateful for that. So he was truly a Christian priest, a Catholic priest. He valued that role. But I'd like to remember him with the word that he himself used for himself and for his friends, the word comrade. He said, my comrades are important to me. Now don't think for a while that comrade means, this Maoist, violent type. Nothing to do with Stan. That's absolutely a ridiculous accusation. Because Stan was gentle, and Stan was one who loved peace. And so there's no question of any violence about him. But he considered all those working for humanity, especially the deprived sections of humanity, as his comrades. And he used this word so often in this last month. I think it's important for us to understand this part of Stan, because it's very close to what Pope Francis says about all of us. He talks about social friendship and that we are all brothers and sisters of one another. All human beings are God's children, and they are our brothers and sisters. They are our comrades, another word which Father Stan was very fond of using. And so, my friends, I think this is one message from Stan's life, that he built up comradeship with all types of people, not just with Christians. In fact, perhaps he worked more with people of other faiths. And he considered them his partners, his comrades, his brothers and sisters. I think this is something that we should all learn, because today, with the insurmountable or seemingly insurmountable obstacles in India and in the world, if we don't join forces with all people of goodwill, there is no chance of us winning. But not only for that reason, also because really everyone is a brother and sister. And I think Stan understood that very deeply. And so I appreciate that. I think we need to reflect more on that and build bridges with people of all faiths so that together we may build a new world. You know, maybe almost 40 years ago, I went to the institute that Stan was the director of as a very young Jesuit. And he taught us social analysis there. And I liked that course. My subject already was sociology. But the way he explained and helped us to understand the undercurrents of Indian society, that was something very inspirational. What inspired me more later was the fact that after his stint as the director in academics, he decided to do what he was encouraging others to do. Go to the grassroots and work with people in difficult circumstances. And he decided to go and work with the tribals. The tribals, who we all know are the most vulnerable section of Indian society. For 30 long years he worked with them. And he used his social analysis. Not just working as an activist running around. No, he analyzed the situation, and one thing that he found for the tribals was that there are beautiful provisions for the indigenous people of India, the Adivasis, in our constitution. And they are not being implemented till this day in many areas. And what he did was try to work towards the implementation of these provisions of the Constitution. Analysis, intellectual work, and activism, action, the two have to go hand in hand. And they went so well with Stan. He was able to blend the two, and that's the reason why he was effective and became a thorn in the side of the powerful, because he was being successful in the constitutional method of getting rights for people. And we know when he was arrested, there were 3,000 Adivasi young people who had been arrested under similar laws that Stan later was arrested on. And he was fighting for them, and he was succeeding. And that's the reason why he had to be done away with. And the powerful managed that. My friends, this is, I think, a second thing we need to learn from Stan. Both analysis and intellectual work and action, one feeding into the other. And the third thing that I think I learned from Stan was the fact that he looked for every opportunity to help someone. He was looking, even from his sick bed, he was looking to help others. In fact, one of our conversations, when he was rather low and not well at all in the ICU, and he says, Father Fraser, you know, I am wondering whether I can donate my body after I die. We all know he had a premonition of death. And he is thinking in these lines that even after he dies, he wants to be useful to someone. And I said, we'll consider that, Stan, but you're getting better now. And then later on, we'll consider that. And so you can see that he really had a heart for others. In the penultimate day before he took unconscious, he had become a little bit disoriented, and he did not recognize me when he first saw me. And he thought I was some other stranger. Then I had to introduce myself. Then he came back to reality. And he said, you know, I am worried about some of the activists who are being tortured. He was worried about conditions. He had seen the conditions in the jail. And he was worried that others are being ill-treated, and he used the word even tortured. And I had to explain to him that things are turning, the tide is turning now. And don't worry, now we shall get rights for people. That was Stan. My friends, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank several people who really did a lot for Stan during these the last few months. Of course, Father Arun has already mentioned the sisters of Holy Family Hospital. In fact, on some of the days in which Stan was better, I think the sisters a little pampered him. And he enjoyed that, he accepted it. That was a good thing about him. He was ready to accept also love and affection. But I think there are so many others, the doctors, Dr. Ian, Sister Lucian, Sister Bina, and the whole team of nurses and doctors and others who took care of him, very loving care of Father Stan. I think we are all indebted to them. I'd also like to thank the lawyers. We have Mihir Desai and Mihir Joshi and Kritika and Mr. Sheriff and others who really took up the case. And Stan was quite happy at the way things were going. In fact, he had a call with his lawyers just a few days before he passed away. And he expressed great confidence in what they were doing. So we must thank so many people who have helped us, who have prayed for Stan across the world. In fact, when he entered Holy Family Hospital, I told him, you know, there are lots of people praying for you, so take heart. He says, why do you think I'm carrying on? I'm carrying on because there are people all over the world, he said. He understood that, who was supporting him. And that brotherhood, that comradeship was important. So let's thank God for Stan, for all those who were important to him in his life. And we pray for the coming of God's kingdom in our land, India.
Now, on behalf of the family members, Ms. Lindsay, the granddaughter of Stan, will propose a vote of thanks.
On behalf of Father Stan's family, I want to thank all of you for coming together to celebrate the life of my grandfather. Our family can't express how much your generosity has meant to us during this difficult time. The last couple of years has been very difficult time for Father Stan. We thank everyone who stood with him and prayed for his release and well-being. We would like to thank the Bishop of the Society of Jesus, Ranchi, the Jesuit priests and brothers throughout the world, and friends who have stayed with him in his years of service. A sincere thanks to all the social and human rights activists for constantly supporting Father Stan and his initiatives to serve the marginalized. We thank all the lawyers who relentlessly fought for Father Stan's release amidst tough political situations. A heartfelt thanks to the Holy Family Hospital, all the doctors and caregivers for their unfailing care and support in the last few weeks. A special thanks to Father Joe Xavier and Father Fraser for keeping all the family and friends updated on the case proceedings and his health. Your support gave us strength and hope during these months. We extend our thanks and prayers to all the fellow activists who took care of Father Stan in jail. We pray to God that justice be served soon, and may Father Stan's goal of releasing all the falsely alleged people come true. A heartfelt thanks to all the press, media, and other international organizations for taking this issue globally to everyone's concern and for the constant support. We express our love and gratitude to all the Adivasi friends with whom Father Stan has spent most of his life with. We continue to pray that they may get justice and their rights restored. As Father Stan wrote, a caged bird can still sing. He wasn't a silent spectator, but a true warrior. He raised his voice no matter where he was. Let us all continue to follow his path and always stand by truth and justice. His noble heart has left the world and towards the gates of heaven. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Friends, it's my privilege to say a few words about Stan and also thank particular type of people. I don't want to miss them at this point of time. Stan, to me, is a mystery. As much as he was understood, he was also misunderstood by different type of people. I knew him for 20 years. I've worked with him for 20 years, more closely in the last 2 years. And very specifically in 2019, end of June till 2020 January, he was in Indian Social Institute, Bangalore Jesuit community. And I had agreed to take care of his needs. Some say he will not celebrate Eucharist, but he took Eucharist to the people. Often he will call me, what is the Eucharist you are celebrating? Bring life of the people to the Eucharist and celebrate. That's what Jesus did. Don't go by the ritual. And he will come quietly, attend, receive. Because of Parkinson's, he cannot hold communion. He will receive in his tongue. From there, he would like to go around because once in 4 years he comes to South to meet his friends in Bangalore, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and other places. So that was the time he came. And one day he said, I have terrible pain, but don't tell me, don't tell anybody, I will manage myself. I stay in the first floor, he was in the ground floor. Then I had to tell him, okay Stan, you go ahead, I will see what needs to be done. I talked to his provincial. I had to tell him, you know the Society of Jesus, when one is sick, you have to obey your superior and the doctor. I will take you to the doctor, whatever the doctor says, you follow. He quietly agreed. When it comes to religious obedience commitment, he will obey. He's a tough man, but you tell him, he will obey. That's a kind of a person. I took him to the hospital. Doctor said, I don't know how he managed this long. He must have been terribly undergoing the pains. Admit him, I will do the surgery. Fine. He took rest and all that. Then afterwards, he wanted to travel around, meet his friends. When he was traveling, I will try to book him by third AC train, given his age. Don't book by third AC, book by ordinary coach. This is the life of people. I want to travel by that. He will put condition. I will have to say some lies or the other, the tickets are not available, so better go by this. All that I will have to manage him, because I have to take care of him. Then as he goes, I will give him 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees for the way, for the journey. Why? I don't need any money. Wherever I go, people are taking care of him. Why do I need money? I don't want any money. This is the kind of a person. I can go on enumerating. I come to the last part of it. As you know, on 8th October 2020, when he was arrested, he knew, as Fraser said, he had a premonition. He invited me on 1st October. I was with him, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. We knew something is going to happen, but at that time nothing happened. I returned to Bangalore. Then the arrest happened on 8th. He was taken around 8:30 p.m. We were shocked. We didn't know what to do, to be very honest. I didn't have any contact in Bombay. I knew only Stan. Some of my friends knew here. Immediately I called Mihir Desai. From that moment till late night 12:31, knowing what is happening, Mihir Desai and Nitya Ramakrishnan, Supreme Court lawyer, were with us along with Henry Tiffin. We were communicating to see what needs to be done. Where is he going to be taken? Is he going to be brought to Mumbai? Watching, monitoring, then taking the efforts. And the following day, we didn't know who will appear. Advocate Susan was here. She organized Vernon's wife. She requested Sharif Sheikh to appear on that day in the court when Stan was brought. None of them I knew. I built up this contact afterwards. All these people, they never expected anything because they journeyed with us in this struggle for justice. And when he was taken to prison, I would like to remember two people who were literally taking care of him. One is Arun Ferreira. You know him by this time. He's one of the co-accused. And one more, I'm sorry, I don't have his name. Stan always used to tell me, there is a person with me in the prison cell. He is the one washing my clothes, taking care of me, giving message. At one point of time before Christmas, because we were in constant communication, because I was considered as a family member, he asked me, can you buy 36-inch pant and 42 size shirt piece and send it to me? Stan, I know you will not ask for me. What is it for? There is my companion, he doesn't have any dress. I want to give him as a gift for Christmas. It took literally 45 days, 50 days to reach that. You've also heard of this superstar issue. I think as much as confusion, lots of confusion around. We had prepared two superstar, not now, 2-3 years before in Chennai, he had them, even in Bangalore he was using, even in Ranchi he was using. When he was brought to Taloja, it was put in his bag, along with a purse, his voter ID, little money and the superstar. But he remembers it was not allowed, so he could not take it inside. When he went inside, he had to get a plastic zipper and he was using it. So casually he mentioned to one of the lawyers, I brought it with me, maybe it is lying somewhere, can you tell the jail authorities to give me, I can use it to drink hot milk. That's how the issue came. It is on that occasion he asked me over the phone, why this became so big issue? Is it a big issue of the country? I can manage without superstar. This is one issue he said very plainly. And the second time, he had his birthday in the beginning of this year. We as Jesuits wanted to celebrate his life, we organized it. He wrote in one of his letters, you must be the culprit to celebrating my birthday. Ordinary people don't celebrate birthday. Anyway, since you have celebrated it, so many greetings have come. Thank all those people on my behalf for remembering me and praying for me. At this point of time, I would like to remember Arun Ferreira, Anand Teltumbe, who were close companions, and the one more prisoner who was in the cell of Taloja, who really took care of him as a mother. But for them, I don't think we would have seen this long. Because the month of May, when he told me, I'm almost dying, because that's the time probably COVID was in peak, so he could not really control himself. I cannot even speak, Joe. Please continue with Arun. I don't know what is happening to me. I'm even having hallucinations. I can't even remember the face. Only very clear faces whom I have interacted long, I know. Even when he was brought to the hospital, he could not recognize Fraser because he has not seen before closely, though they know each other. Immediately after a few times, he became familiar. I would like to remember and thank them and pray for all the BK16 people and those political prisoners who are in prison. At this point of time, I would also like to assure the families of all the BK16 that the Jesuits, though stand, is not with us, but we will continue our struggle for justice together. We are not going to close our chapter. One part is over, the second chapter will continue the legacy of Stan. And especially thank all the lawyers, as they said, Mihir Desai, Nitya Ramakrishnan, Susan, Sharif Sheikh, Kritika Agarwal, and Mihir Joshi, Henry Tiffan, many others. We didn't have any problem. I'm in Bangalore, operating from Bangalore. Anytime I could call them, they were with us completely. And they guided us in the most right way because they knew us as Jesuits, priests committed for justice. And they were willing to travel with us. I want to thank them. Of course, there's no words to thank the last part of his journey, Beena, Dr. Yan and the entire medical family of Holy Family Hospital. You were the real mothers in the last stage of his life. He had prolonged his life because of your care, both in terms of a professional care, medical care, also the human touch that he has told me. When he called me on 27th through a video call, he said, Joe, I'm going to my second childhood. I am surrendering. You have been taking care of me. Talk to the provincials. Whatever they decide, it is fine. I am surrendering. These were his last words to me. And I also would like to specially thank the media fraternity. You know, this message has really stirred the world. Not because the Jesuits have achieved much, not because of the institutions we have in a high position and status, but I think what we believe in is more important. That's what we are celebrating today. We believe that this world must be built up on the constitutional values and the gospel values. And they are very simple. This is to love your neighbor, to show mercy, compassion, solidarity, and work for their justice and rights and reconciliation. This is our mantra. There's nothing extraordinary about it. This world, if it is built on ethical principles, it will become more human and more divine. Not just we need laws, structure systems, but law structure systems are made for human beings. Human beings cannot be crushed by these laws. And this is what he cherished most among the Adivasis. He saw all these values shining forth among the indigenous communities. That's why he loved them so much. He wanted to spend as much time and energy, all his life for them. Because he saw very clearly these values makes them. Also, I want to specially thank, as I said, the media fraternity who carried this message. We may have fallen short of what we are preaching, but we assure you, join us in making this world a much more better human divine world built on the ethical principles of the Constitution, of the gospel. That's what will take us long. And finally, you know, Father Fraser, the Jesuit community of St. Peter's Church, and the parishioners, I knew, I can't say everything, they really have been very generous in many ways. Along with the Bombay Jesuits, because Stan is far away. His heart was always in Ranchi, but he said finally, even Vinayalaya, Bombay is fine. I belong to the Society of Jesus. That much love and care he received in Bombay, he was agreed to be surrendered in Bombay itself. So let's celebrate his life. Let's continue to march forward. The God who has shown the path to the kingdom of justice, peace and reconciliation will continue to guide us. Let's journey together till we reach that goal. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us in celebrating the life of Stan today.